just now.
We love these guys. They're like professionals, but they're still scumbags like us. New build show alert. So we're teaming up with our buddies at BBI. They're working on a really cool project, a 911 Hill Climb Pikes Peak special.
Pikes Peak is, in my mind, it's like tomorrow. You know, we should have started last year.
We're gonna follow these guys to Pikes Peak, and then hopefully you guys setting a record.
There's not enough hours, is there?
All right, new build show alert. I know you got garage. You've got staff inspection, you have car cane rehab if I ever finish another car. Build and Battle Season 1 is done, that's coming back. But we're gonna do a little mini series on a group of friends of ours who are going to be building a Pikes Peak racer. So check it out, we're gonna head over there right now and give you guys all the details. Alright, so here we are at BBI. They're like the only people I actually trust to work on my car, which is probably the only reason why this car actually is still running. But we're not here for this car today, we're here for another project that they've got going on. So let's go check it out. As you can see, kind of a little bit of different stuff than you're used to seeing at the Hoonigan yard. Not as as our cars, but this is what we're here for. This, at some point in its life, started as a GT3 Cup car. And now, these guys are gonna build it into a Pikes Peak car in like less than 40 days. So, let's go find Betim.
Yeah.
What's up, buddy?
Man.
You ready to come downstairs and tell us about this car?
Yeah.
This is how we do, we just roll up in people's offices.
I'm not doing anything important, so
of course not.
You know, come on out.
So I've already told the people that you have this crazy project that you need to build in less than 40 days, which is really like our style, except your cars are a little nicer than ours, but we appreciate a full thrash, so.
It's all nuts and bolts, and it's all metal and welding, and I mean, it's all the same thing really, except the engine's in a different area.
So for those of you who don't remember Betim, Daily Transmission, like one of the early episodes. Came out and showed everybody what a Porsche could do in the parking lot and scared all of us because that was a really expensive car to throw around in the yard. But what's your background? I mean, obviously you've been doing BBI for a while, but you've been involved in racing for a bit.
Yeah, so BBI is 12 years old now, and my background is Porsche. So I was just talking to one of the guys earlier. I think it was 1998, the first time I put a wrench to the back of a 911, put a set of shocks in it. I was like, oh, this is amazing. So been messing with Porsches, really 911s for the last 21 years now, being able to really push the technological envelope and playing with these things. So it's 20 years of that. I worked at Porsche Motorsport for a stint from 03 to 07. And then shortly after that started BBI, more of an expression of being able to be a little more creative with the stuff, because at racing it's this is how it's done, these are the rules, and this is what you have to do. I mean, it's still insanely amazing, but here we can get a little bit crazier. Hey, what if we tried this, or can we make that tube bigger? No, rules won't allow, but now we can really just try to maximize what we're after and really get the results that we want.
So you guys do a lot of customer cars, obviously almost everything that's in the building.
Yeah.
But this is kind of like a passion project for you? Yeah,
this is a passion project. So we went to Pikes Peak in 2013, 14, and 15 with Jeff Stewart, and ended up winning in class, him piloting a twin-turbo 997 GT3 Cup car that we built. That was absolutely infectious. As soon as we did that, I was like, okay, one day I'm going back. whether it's with our car, whether it's a client's car, whatever we're going to do, but we have to go. And we ended up falling into this opportunity, which is amazing, but it's now, I mean, Pikes Peak is, in my mind, it's like tomorrow. You know, we should have started last year. Yeah. And when we're running the shop, all of our customer cars come first. So it's hard to carve out resources and time and people. And so it is a passion project. It's late nights, weekends, a lot of beer, a lot of pizza, a lot of favors, you know, and trying to get everybody into this. And everybody's into it. Everybody, I think we're going to do it. I think so. We have a wire harness now.
We love these guys. They're like professionals, but they're still scumbags like us, yeah. Trying to do everything last minute. So one thing that's going to be a little different on this build show than the other ones that you've seen us do is obviously, just as this car sits now, it's probably worth more than anything we've ever built on our shows. But we're like a bunch of jabronis and these guys are experts, so we're going to try to make this as educational as possible. So, but Tim's going to be teaching you along the way, because even though he's kind of a scumbag like us, he's learned a little bit more about making cars fast and like actually competitive, and they win at things. Oh yeah. So cool. Well, I don't envy you, man. This looks like I built my Nova in 65 days, but this looks like almost in the same position of like just not being there, because you guys still have an engine build.
We still,
right? So I mean, we're gonna watch you guys like literally build an engine from zero.
It'll be cool because I want to show how a 911 engine goes together. I mean, it's, if you know how to build an engine, you know how to build an engine. But there's unique things about, you know, all the Subaru guys know. You got a split case and hanging the rods and dropping the pins in. So that'd be kind of cool to show some of that. There's gonna be a lot of fun things to do. Then when we have the chassis set up, we're gonna have it on the scale pads, corner balance and aligning it, and then we got to go testing. And we have to do all this in it. There's not enough hours, is there?
I like that you just did the math in your head.
Yeah. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Passion projects, man. If it was a customer car project, it'd be done already.
Yeah. It's weird. I have a level of comfort, right? As crazy as this program is going, I have a level of comfort of how everything's kind of coming together, and the team that we've assembled for this, and all of our partners, the driver, I mean, you got to think even how to get the car to the mountain, the logistics going up and down the mountain in the morning, all that stuff starting to work out, and it's good. Yeah.
So here's how it's going to roll out. We're going to do 4 episodes on the build of this, and then we're going to follow these guys to Pikes Peak, and we're going to cover as much of the testing, and then hopefully you guys setting a record.
I hope so. And we look forward to having you guys along the ride.
So now let's go to like some sort of time lapse of them starting to work on this. Enjoy.
Well, here we are. I don't know what day it is, but we're scanning some things in for the new intercooler setup. We got Chris here from 3D Infotech. Also turns out to be my brother-in-law. So he's using the Creaform HandyScan Black, which is their new gig. It's pretty awesome.
You know, with this thing shooting off 22 lasers, I can really just kind of paint the car very easily, and we can get a lot of data. It's something that's very valuable and useful.
But as you can see, what you're getting from that is essentially a 3D mapped version of the car. So then Dimitri can get in there and go through and design with your available envelope all in 3D, and we can prototype the parts real quick, and instead of making 3 or 4 different tries and seeing if this will fit, we can see what our available envelope is for all of it. That gets you essentially the best result in the shortest amount of time. What we're going to try to do is end up throwing an intercooler back in here, and the air is going to come down over the top of the car right through here and go over the top of the engine, and we'll have basically this entire back area is going to be a big intercooler by CNR and PWR. We were going to go liquid to air on the intercooling of this thing, and so now we changed it to air because CNR and PWR said, you know what, they did a lot of math, and they said you're going to have a way more efficient charge cooling system if we just keep it air to air, where traditionally we thought that the water to air would be good, but then you rob too much frontal area from your current radiator systems, which we only have 3 here. You rob too much of that frontal area to cool the what's called a passive charge, the water that comes out of the intercooler that is drawing the heat away from the hot air charge. So that means we free up a lot of room in here. So this tank goes away, a big pump goes away, and all of these lines. So we're actually going to drop a lot of weight, which is nice too. It's just we did a lot of work for essentially at this point, nothing. So now it's start over, get it done, and we'll be back at it soon.
All right, so where are you guys at with this right now?
Well, we have 30 days till the Sunday when we're running the GT3 Pikes Peak, and we have that gives us 22 days, actual 22 sobering long days to get the.
Yeah, that looks 22 days from finish right now.
Yeah, I mean, in my maniac mind right now, it's doable. You know, it's doable, but everybody else saying it's not. But it's doable. We're gonna do it.
If it was me, it would take me 22 days just to mount the seat.
No,
so what have you guys done? Britt, get us up to speed. What has happened?
Yesterday we finished 3D scanning the back of the car for the wing mounts, for the intercooler ducting. We cleaned up a bunch of injured parts. We started reorganizing the fuel system, checking all the cramps, going through everything, getting ready to mount it.
So let's talk about the fuel system, because like I would imagine this needs a little bit more fuel than your average.
Yeah.
So, because
let me see that camera real quick. So the fuel system, it's a carbon fiber shell right here that actually has an aerospace bladder. And inside of this bladder, this is kind of the nuts and bolts of it, which is kind of cool. I don't know if you can see down in there. But anyways, right back there in the corner, there's a fuel pump. There's a fuel pump right there, and then two in the back corner. Those are called pickup pumps, and that's what this harness comes through this base plate and does. And what that does is it fills this reservoir chamber, which is basically like a surge tank, and it has a couple floats in there, a bunch of baffles and chambers. And what happens is those 4 pickup pumps pick up fuel no matter if you're braking, accelerating, left, right turns, and it keeps this 3.5 liter surge tank full. And then that surge tank is where the main pumps, which we'll go over and show you, draw from. And this is always pressurized. No matter what, it's always full, unless you completely run out of gas. But then even if you run out of gas, your low level comes on, and then you know you'll have about 2 more minutes worth of fuel at wide open through just this. And we'll go through, and this is the primary line going out to the engine, big Dash 8 XRP Pro Plus, and then rollover valve. This is the main fuel system harness, which from the computer controls our in-tank pumps, controls the main and reserve pump, which we're going to probably have both of them on, and the level sensor, things like that. And you know, it's got big old power wires in the middle, and the rest are signal and 5 volts. But that kind of sums that side up.
So let me see if I got this straight. So you have 4 basically like lift pumps.
Low pressure lift pumps, high volume, low pressure.
High pressure, okay, that now go into a surge tank.
I say high volume, low pressure.
High volume, low pressure.
Yeah.
That basically get you into like a surge tank.
Correct.
And then you have a pump that, 1 or 2 pumps that pull, 2 pumps that pull from there. That's like a lot of levels of redundancy. Because like, arguably a surge tank should be enough for most people. Because that's the whole purpose.
And 2 of those lift pumps will handle this car under full throttle. And you always have to, but you have redundancy. So if one goes out, you're not gonna die. And we actually learned that back in 13 and 14. We just had those pumps dying. We were overworking them. Fuel cell foam, there's a lot of things that happen cavitating the main pumps, and then we lost one of our main pumps.
Explain cavitating for everyone at home.
Cavitating is when it sucks air and fuel at the same time. You lose essentially the pumping force that the fuel pump operates under, because fluid is non-compressible, but when you add air to that, it foams up, and almost like if you took a prop on a boat and you took it up halfway out of the water, and it's not a surface piercer, you're going to get half of the force of the pump. And what happens, it overspins the pump, burns up, and then seizes. Because
fluid dynamics with Betim. I appreciate all this education.
Yeah, fuel is a lubricant and a coolant for a pump also. So once you start doing that, all kinds of bad things happen. So this sits inside the fuel cell, barely. And what you have right here is this is pressure out, and this comes right off of that reservoir, that surge tank, which goes through this main filter from XRP. That's pretty cool. You can just reach in the tank and you can pop that off, and you can service your filter really quick. Another thing we learned, that you really need to be able to service this stuff all the time and keep a close eye on all of this stuff. But XRP supplied us with all this Protect, massive Protect pumps, and then comes out, goes through 2 check valves, and Y's in, you know, Dell Dash 8 to Dash 10 Pro Plus line, all the way out, all by our friends at XRP. And so I can, let's go back over there. I'll show you what this kind of looks like in there. It's like a pretty tight fit.
Damn.
It drops in and sits right there against the floor, and then it clips in. So this comes out of here, pressure out, but can you see in there?
Yep.
How tight everything is up against the front wall. And
so lifts feed this, and then this feeds that, right? So
yeah.
this...
So this is pressure out, and this right here, if I had a light, you'd see, but there's a Dash 10 fitting on the backside of this reservoir, and then that's what it draws in from.
So let's talk about how much pressure this makes. So like a standard fuel system is like a 50 to 55 psi.
Yeah, it's 3.8 bar, and then that's a standard standard deal. We're going to run our base pressure at 5 bar, which is 73.5 psi, and then we're going to be targeting 19 psi of boost up the mountain. So our fuel pressure regulator is a 1-to-1, meaning that for every pound of boost, it goes 1 pound of fuel pressure added. So by the time we're up there, we're at 92.5 psi. Starting at a lower base pressure is typically better because you're not working the fuel as much, and you have a little bit more of a window. It's just, we want to make sure we're not ever running out of injector. And with funky things that happen in the mountain, I want a big percentage of leeway. So I want to be able to run 1 pump. We're going to run 2, but I want to be able to run 1 pump at all times. And if we have to, we can flip on the other one, which we'll probably just have the Motec do by itself if we see a pressure drop. With all the sensors on here now, we're actually monitoring current draw from each pump, all of the 4 lift pumps, and we're monitoring current draw from both mains. And we can set maps up. If we see 1 pump dying, now we're going to know which pump it is. We're going to have warning set up for it, and we're going to have a redundancy click where that pump will turn off for a little while if it starts drawing too much, cool off, and then shut another pump off and turn that one back on. All in the logic in Motec.
Who knew fuel systems could be so high tech these days? All right, so what else has happened?
We got a bunch of the engine parts cleaned up last night, and I don't know, we can go upstairs and see if Dimitri's got more fun things. So anyways, this is what he found from yesterday, and this is what he's what Chris from 3D into Votech was scanning. The engine sits in here, and you can see the top side of the deck lid right here, or that's where the deck lid sits on the hood pins, there and there. And then that's what the intercooler core, that's how big it is right there. We're just going to run kind of like your car. Instead of flat, we're going to run it back here, and the air is going to come off the back window and down through here and dump out here and out of the rear bumper. So now we're going to design up the end tanks. Well, see, we got a fit problem. So we got to move that around. But this is why you do it this way, because you place these things and you put the body in place. You're like, oh, that's not going to work, or we just don't run a rear bumper.
Man, this makes building cars so much easier.
Especially when you have 0 time. So this is actually a CAD model that CNR sent us of an intercooler that's actually probably in their furnace right now being brazed up. And they said this is going to be the most efficient setup you could possibly run on this project.
So Dimitri, do you have any concerns on this schedule? You seem like the pragmatic person in the group.
With the team, we'll get it done. I'm not concerned about that.
Look at them being nice.
I mean, what's a night or 2 or 3 or 10, you know, it's going to be okay.
Keep in mind, all this is happening while we're working on the customer cars.
Oh yeah.
Day, you know, and you know, so business has to keep going. And then at night, we've been really hammering on this thing, you know, and it feels good to be back down in the shop welding again and banging on metal. But after this, so now he has this. He's going to design the end tanks. Going to get some aluminum ordered up, and we're going to cut the top end tank as a two-piece clamshell, and the bottom one, there's going to be a turbocharger that sits right here, turbocharger that sits right here, and the air is going to come in from both sides, the turbo, and then it's going to come up through here and collect in the middle and go into the throttle body, which sits right about here. So
nice.
Yeah, that's that part. I'll show you where we are on the engine side. What's that?
That's my motor that I dropped off.
Yeah?
Yeah. I love how you're like, I don't even know why that's here. That's a little like me and Dimitri DMing at night because he also likes Audis.
Yeah.
I like the best thing about those motors is how they sound.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just so bad.
Not as bad as it seems. This is the block for the Pikes engine. It's a GT3 RSR block. This is the engine case. Got back from machine. We have a set of head studs that are made out of meteorite, and 24 of them in here. Make sure. I mean, they'll handle all the boosts you can throw at them. They don't break. They're pretty. Knock on some wood, but they're pretty solid. Heads got back. We just cleaned them up, did a valve job on them, put new springs and hardware on them. They're ready to go. Here are the cylinder housings, the cam decks.
So next episode we will assemble all of this.
Yeah, crankshaft just got back from
All of
Dallas. Right here. So we're gonna start assembling it. Got the connecting rods right there, the Brillo, and then we gotta start running some boost through them.
Oh, you got your party whistles over here?
Party whistles, rotary mufflers. By Garrett, they're the 25 660s. I have a set of Inconel headers we built a long time ago from them. We did a lot of mock-up. These are a lot of the oil lines to run our secondary cooler. This goes down from the bottom of the block up and around. Instead of going into the oil tank where this line used to go, it bypasses that. It goes through a separate cooler by CNR. We're just trying, every cooling system, or every part of the cooling system is almost redundant. Every part of the fuel system, all the little things that we've learned in the past, we're just trying to address, but still in the same token, keeping it as simple as possible. Just not trying to overcomplicate the whole deal. As everybody knows, it's a sum of all these stupid little things that you're like, oh, why am I putting so much effort into all this little stuff? But when they all add up, it starts making a difference. And when, with any project, with anything you do in life, it's just these little tiny tweaks that you do along the way. This unattainable goal that you have at the end. That you get there by just doing these tiny little things that you don't see, but they add up to something that, that's how I justify it in my head.
And you had 21 days to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Thank you.